Hey, everybody. Before we get into our normal episode, we wanted to mention a few shout outs for people that have commented some of their stories and things on our videos. So in our first episode about inherited traits, we got a comment from someone named Angie Barata 8592.
Angie
Barata.
All right.
She said that she still has her Pampered Chef baking stone from the 1900s. Yeah.
From the 1900s.
That's what she said.
That's the best.
What'd you say, Ma?
It says 1900s?
That's what it says.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So thanks, Angie, for sharing your little story with us.
Hey, Angie.
On episode number 2, which was about how we would spend our $50, Angie's back again.
Yeah.
Angie Barata 8592. She wanted to let us know that Capital School has facials for $35 to $50.
See?
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Right. And she said that they are fabulous, and that is where she would spend her $50 as well.
Yep.
And to comment on
She's
Mom,
been going there since 1900.
the 1900s. She also said, my daughter loves to buy thrift store jewelry because she can repurpose it with newer pieces to make her own bracelets and necklaces. She loves searching for unique pieces. So she likes thrift stores, and she likes aesthetic school facials. So Angie, thank you for listening and commenting. We love to hear those stories. One more, we got a kind of a special shout out comment from Mr. Dennis Hornacek himself.
Hey.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
Hi,
he's a friend of ours. He says, just heard your new podcast, brought back special memories for us of special friends.
Aw.
So if you're listening to this, you probably don't know unless you're a close part of our family, but Dennis and his wife Patty have been friends of ours since I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And yeah, so
Since the 1900s.
Probably
since the
1900s. I
1900s.
think we moved in the 1900s. Probably about 1990.
Yep. Cool. So Dennis, thanks for listening. Patty, if you're listening as well, thank you.
I'll see you at Aldi sometime soon.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Enjoy today's episode, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't worry, Mom. Your hair looks nice. I promise.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does. Don't tell me. Don't tell me what I already know.
I can
Mother.
see her.
Yeah, I can see you.
I can see you.
I can see you, Ma.
Now you can.
Now you can see me. But before
I can
we
see
couldn't.
you.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
This
Hi.
is another
Hey,
episode
y'all.
of My Mama Done Told Me. Well,
Mama.
My Mama.
My mama.
My name's Jeff, and I'm here with Lauren and My Mama.
Yeah.
Hi, Lauren.
I'm Lauren.
Hi, My Mama.
Hi, children.
If you're new to our show, this is where a son and a daughter, or a brother and a sister, sit down with their mama over the airwaves, and we talk about whatever we feel like talking about. And today, we're going to get right into our topic of
What's the topic of discussion?
what's the topic of discussion? It is selfishness, human nature, people. What do you know about that? So we're talking about, you're right, selfishness. Do you feel, dear listeners, do you feel, are people, human beings, are we selfish by nature or something else? Or is that a learned trait? Or is that something that, interpret that however you want. Mom, have you given this any thought this week?
Actually, I have.
I'd love to hear what you think.
Well, I definitely think that we are born with a selfish nature, and that's basically comes from being our desire to survive. You have to worry about yourself, and you have to. So, I mean, think about a baby. The first thing they do is cry for food, and the minute you give it to them, then they cry again. And I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just the way to survive. You're thinking about yourself, and you're focused on yourself. And I think as years go on, then you either develop selfishness in maybe what could be a more of a negative way of selfishness, that we look at selfishness.
Right.
And the other things that move into that, like empathy and that kind of thing, those are learned as they go along to kind of balance out that selfish. I mean, we all need to be selfish a little bit, I think, just to survive and take care of ourselves. So selfishness in itself isn't a bad thing. It's the degree of selfishness. So I think we're born with that for sure.
Yeah, and you talked about, excuse me, you talked about babies. Theoretically, a baby, the what do you call it? The undeveloped mind, right?
Right.
Theoretically should show us primally what we are as human beings, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
most likely, yeah.
You would think, because you've got an undeveloped brain that only knows that it's going to do what it needs to do to survive and stay alive, right? So inherently, it's probably going to be selfish. But I was reading an interesting article from I was reading an article from something called the Decision Lab. Try to say the Decision Lab.
The Decision Lab.
The decisions kind of makes me
busy.
The Decision Lab. I was reading an article from the Decision Lab, and it kind of talks about why scientists forever, even Plato, all the way back to Plato, was thought humans are innately selfish, and there's a lot of reasons to believe that. But it was kind of, he also said, though, or not he, but this article also talks about the sort of cooperative nature of human beings. Because even a baby will, if you, a toddler or something, if you drop something, they may pick it up and hand it to you. Well, why did they do that? They're not looking for anything in return. They're being cooperative. So does that point toward innate cooperation? Because, and another thing that I thought was interesting is, we talk about what we innate, like, okay, so I'm sort of stuttering over my words right now, but if you look at, situationally, what is our instinct? What is our instinct? How do we respond to things? Well, that's going to depend on the situation, right?
Right.
Because, if I'm starving to death and someone drops some food in the middle of the room and it's me and 6 other people, what's going to happen? Well, that largely depends on the person, right? But it also depends on, I think, how immediate can your decision be? You know what I mean? If in that situation, I don't have time, did I know the food was coming or did I not?
Right.
Because if I knew the food was coming, I may be more apt to discuss with the people in the room and communicate with other human beings and go, how can we make whatever food comes benefit us all? Right? But is that
But there's no doubt in my mind, Jeff, if you were hungry in a room with your family and somebody dropped a chicken wing, you would give it to your kids or your wife.
Right.
You wouldn't eat it. But there's other people that would take that same chicken wing, and what tells me that you're not selfish.
Well, I believe that I am. I believe. Well, okay, hold on. We haven't heard from the sister
No.
Lauren, pipe in here.
Well, I think. Okay, so the question is, are people selfish by nature? And I think the answer to that is yes.
Okay.
But I don't think selfishness is inherently bad. I think that it's necessary. And depending on the situation and the way other people react to the innate selfishness, can kind of form how, as an adult or as a young human, not a baby, as a growing person, how that manifests itself in like the real world, like to other people, not just our family. Like if it were me and you and there's one piece of Jack's Pizza left, you bet your I'm licking my finger and putting my finger in there. Because I know
I would.
You'd fight her for it.
I would be disappointed if you didn't.
Right.
Because I've come to expect that from you specifically.
But that's more for fun. But anyways, like for real though, like if it depends, like in a family unit, it's a little bit different. You can show that a little bit more and it be accepted a little bit more. Now, if I did that when I was out with like Zach's family or something, like that would look kind of bad.
Yeah, that would look super shitty. Yeah.
Yeah. But if so what I'm trying to say is, yes, I think that we are selfish by nature, but I also think that it's necessary and that it can go too far into narcissism.
Right, exactly.
Or it can go the extreme opposite direction into like, what do you want? I don't know if it's martyrdom or...
Yeah, I think martyrdom's a good word.
It could go either way, one extreme or the other. So I think the goal is to be just selfish enough to like do well for yourself, but also not take away from other people and not make yourself look like an asshole.
Right, and a lot of it comes back to, are your needs being met?
Right, and if they're not, because I mean, if you're living in poverty and somebody drops a chicken wing and you don't know the people that are fighting you for that chicken wing, you're probably going to...
Fight for it.
Yeah, you're going to claw some eyes out or something,
Yeah, and also... you talk about the public good, right? A lot of times people, think about, we live in societies that are built around cooperation, right? So is cooperation the opposite of selfishness?
Oh boy.
Maybe.
Kind of, because what does it mean to be selfish? It's being I don't know, have the definition in front of me, but
I don't think the opposite is cooperation. I think the opposite is extreme empathy, maybe. Like where you're so worried about the other people that you don't worry about yourself at all, to your detriment.
Okay, Mom, what's Webster's?
The actual definition that I got was lacking consideration for others, chiefly concerned with your own personal profit or gain.
So if you think the opposite of that, it would be...
if you think of the opposite of that, it's considering others and not worried about your own personal gain so much.
Which is can be just as detrimental to...
Or if not more.
Yeah.
Right, because then there's no survival instinct, right?
Yeah. Right.
But I think cooperation does tie into it.
I think it does too. And I think that's...
Definitely.
If you say... I don't think anybody could argue that human beings... can we look up... I'm going to look up on my little handy-dandy tablet here what the opposite of selfishness is.
Selflessness?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. What is the opposite of selfishness? Google, go. Unselfishness.
It's not being selfish.
It's altruism or generosity.
Altruism, I guess, but...
Yeah, so...
But just because you're generous doesn't mean that you don't.
Right. Well, and that's
That's
You
kind
can
of
be
what you were
self-
saying, Jeff, before. You can still be selfish and be generous.
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Because you could be generous for selfish reasons.
right. And I would argue, okay, so like to go back a little bit in society, right? We live in a world where it benefits us more to cooperate and to be maybe not generous necessarily, but to not be super selfish, right? Because if I was just selfish, right? Me. That means I wouldn't care about providing for my family. I wouldn't care about making sure that the people who I care about are taken care of to whatever extent I can help with that. I wouldn't care about wanting others to succeed. I don't think it would be true narcissism, like you said, like only me that matters. But but we don't live in that society. We live in a society where, and I keep going back to cooperation because
Right.
in my head, that's kind of the nature of man is to create a world, I think, where we can all live together in as much harmony as we can figure out. But I also think that depending on how much time you sit and think about things is going to, I would argue, probably push you toward more selfish things. In that article I was reading, it was interesting because they were talking about if you in these tests that these scientists were doing, if you drop a $10 bill and in the room and you give people a chance to think about what they would do with the money, more often than not, the more time that went on, the more selfish they became, the more self-serving
Really?
they became with it. Whereas the less time you gave them to make a decision, the more likely they were going to say that they each of them said, like, let's just break it up evenly and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting.
So immediate response is to do the more altruistic
Yes.
or cooperative thing.
According to that article at the that was what they saw, which I thought was really interesting.
That is interesting because I don't know.
That's interesting because I would not have thought that.
I
Me
wouldn't
neither.
have either. I don't
was
think I
surprised
would
by
have.
it.
I don't think I would have thought that. I would have thought that if you, because like my instinct maybe would be not me personally, but like just for an
Right.
example, my instinct
Right.
would be, hey, grab that.
Right. Right.
Hey, get it. But then if you gave me some time, I'd be like, no, that's not fair. We should split
Yeah,
it,
it says
or whatever.
What was also fascinating from this study was that when participants were given time and encouraged to think about their decisions, participants opted to be greedier. Apparently, when relying on instinct, we're willing to cooperate, but when we are given a chance to think about the costs and benefits of our decisions, we think more about our own outcomes than those of others.
Well, I guess that kind of makes sense, but I wouldn't have thought that.
Me neither. But the other thing I go back to, and this is another shameless plug to Talkumentary, the other podcast that we do. We did a. We did an episode on a documentary called Happy, where they talked about what's important, what causes happiness, things like that. Well, first of all, one of the things that was brought up was the need for social interaction and things. Okay, well, social interaction was what we didn't really talk about is more often than not is a peaceful social reaction or interaction. So if you're super selfish, the chances are less that you're going to have a peaceful interaction.
Yeah.
You also bring into play like manipulation and other things like that. But I brought up the point during that episode that there is a very selfish part of being unselfish, of being generous, of living life cooperatively.
Yep.
We feel good
When we do
when we
something.
do something good.
Right.
Right? Well, again, my point in that episode was, are you going to do those good things if it doesn't make you feel good?
If the dopamine wasn't there.
Yes. Yeah. If you didn't get that dopamine dump, if you didn't take a big old dopamine dump every time you did something good, then would you be apt to do something good? I don't think you would.
I mean, not as much, maybe.
Right. If it made me sick to my stomach to help someone out in need,
Right.
would I ever help someone out in need? Probably not.
Not often.
I can't think that you would.
I mean, I might if it was mom or something, you know, like.
Because you
But
feel
for
a
real,
great
like-
responsibility.
But if you think about it, though, because if that were the case, I mean,
You probably
Can
do
you
do
imagine
things
if
for
you
me that
had a
don't
child?
make you feel all that great.
no, I'm saying, like, if you have let's say
Right.
you have a baby and helping people makes you feel poopy, then
Right. Exactly.
like you wouldn't want to
Like,
ever have kids. You wouldn't want to ever, you know, volunteer for anything.
Right. Think
that-
about a time, everybody, listeners, people in the room, think about a
telling
time.
us what to do, Jeff. Come on.
Do me a favor and think about a time when you did something that made someone's day. Whether you tipped a server, you know, really well, or you, I don't know,
Helped your brother
volunteered.
move.
Yeah, you helped you helped your brother move. What?
I don't know. I
Helped
remember
you move.
I helped you move too.
Okay. That was more of an obligation than
Move on.
Anyway, the feeling that you get, you know, walking away from that stranger that you just, you know, made their day or brightened their whatever, like that's a good feeling, right? Imagine walking away from that going, oh my gosh, did I just screw up? Oh my gosh, did I, like, that felt awful.
But I
Would you
think
ever
that
feel like
happens
doing that
when
again?
you do. I do think that happens.
What does?
You can be really nice to somebody, think you're doing something really nice, and they're like, nothing. And you walk away going, okay, why did I just do that? That doesn't mean I'm not going to do it to the next person.
Right. But I would argue that point that it still felt good to you to do the good thing, even if it didn't initiate the type of reaction that you wanted or that you expected or that you hoped from that person.
Well, I don't really know.
It's okay to disagree with me. I'm just
I
saying
think that
my thoughts.
we're built to have that feeling. So to talk about not having that feeling is like a moot point because
Exactly.
we do have that feeling.
And that's my
a
whole
natural
point.
thing. Okay.
Yeah,
so why are we
that's my
talking
whole
about
point.
it if we didn't have it? Because we do have it.
Because, I mean, for the sake of argument, if we didn't, then
Yeah, we're trying.
we wouldn't be as apt to help other people out.
Our world would be worse than it already is.
Right.
I don't think we would exist as a species anymore.
Probably not.
I
Because
really
if
don't.
nobody
Not.
helped anybody out, we would all probably die off pretty quick,
Right.
I would think.
If you boil us down to, let's just say you boil us down to being the animals that we are, right? And if we truly are the same as, you know, an anthill or something like that, our instinctual goals are to create an environment and thrive in it, or to reproduce, or to carry on a species, or to serve a higher power, or you know, whatever it may be, right? Well, you're whatever it is, whether it's creation, trying, you know, that wants you to thrive in that, or whether it's, you know, an evolutionary thing or a combination of both, or whatever it may be, we are blessed with the biological reaction to doing good and to not being selfish. Most of
Right.
us are, I think, are blessed with that. Yes. Could I name a few people on the air right now that I feel like they get more of a thrill from being selfish and they don't care about others? Yeah.
Sure.
I think that those people exist.
Yeah.
But I think as a human race, I truly believe that we would not exist anymore. And Mom, that your point is exactly the point that I was trying to make is
Okay.
it's a dang good thing that we do feel good when we do those good things. Otherwise, I think none of us would be here to talk about this.
No.
But I'm
know
not
what I
sure
mean?
that I don't think I do it for the feel good. I do it because it just feels like it comes naturally. I mean, it's not like I go, I'm going to be really super nice to this cashier today so I can get a good feeling.
No,
I'm
that's
feeling
not what we're
like I want to
saying.
make her day better.
That's not what we're saying. But even innately, I mean, because you wanting to make somebody's day better
it does make you feel better too.
Yeah. I mean, just
It does.
naturally.
That's not my motive. That isn't the motive of why I do it.
But we're lucky that it makes us feel good as opposed to
Yes.
making us not feel good, I guess is the only thing that we're...
Are there things in our life that we do that there is no good feeling or good outcome to it? I mean, yeah, we could say, okay, I don't necessarily love going to work every day, you know, but I know I kind of have to do that to get the outcome of a paycheck.
Yeah, there's a payout, right?
Or, you know, and okay, well, the only times we really go to work and not get paid for it are when we are benefiting some way or benefiting someone else in some way, right? I would go help, you know, one of my friends, we'll go back to the moving thing, I help you move. Even though I don't really love to help people move, I'm going to go do that because I know it helps you out. And I do feel good about myself, whether that's the reason I did it or not. It's not the reason I did it. I don't know, I need a pick me up. Let me go help James move his no.
Right.
But you do feel good about having helped a friend out or a family member out.
Right.
So thank the maker that we have that. You know, so to wind it all back, and we're running. We've got about like 8 minutes before I want to wrap up. But do you think people are selfish by nature? I do.
Yeah.
Personally, I think we are.
I do.
just think that
and I think
is
that
not.
can be. I think that selfishness can be developed into a negative trait in somebody's life, and I think it can also be part of your underlying personality and your who you are on a level and balanced way that is a good thing. I mean,
Agreed.
like we said before, you have to have self care, self motivation, self
fulfillment. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to say that, but
No, I think
you
you're saying
have
it
to be
just
aware
fine.
of your own needs and your own self, and that's not selfish.
Right.
No,
Selfish
that's just being
can
self-aware.
turn into being it can turn into being a negative trait though, and I think that's something that I think parents today really have to be aware that they have a responsibility to their children to nurture them in a way to where they have empathy and not complete selfishness. So it can be a real psychological problem in child rearing as well. So some of it is environmental.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
sure.
and selfish. The word selfish has such a negative connotation. And
Right.
you know, Mom, can you read the description of it again that you have?
Lacking consideration.
Definition.
Okay, there's two that I have because I talked to my friend Kate about it today, who was a social worker for a long time. And she said, most people, rather than being selfish, are egocentric. So I didn't know the difference between those two. Well,
Interesting.
Selfish is defined as lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or gain. And then egocentric is thinking only of themselves without regard to the feelings of others. So that's kind of like
two very
pushing
different
towards
definitions.
narcissism.
I think that's exactly
they're
it,
almost
yeah.
the same except for the consideration of others.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And baby
Selfish-
can't do that.
Right.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
they don't understand
babies-
that.
That's
Right.
learned.
All they know is that they're
Hopefully.
hungry and they want to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
I know
think-
many adults who look at anybody besides themselves in their lives as non-playable characters.
Right.
And themselves as the main character. Everybody else is just like kind of a walk-on role in their movie. Can you imagine if you were the non-playable character? Like,
No, nobody can.
nobody would do that. So I think the answer to the question is
Yeah, we're selfish, but yes, there is such a thing as selfishness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Right.
that's I think what
Or
anyone
self-awareness. I mean, I would argue that it might not even be selfishness,
Right.
but more of a self-awareness, an awareness that you can't completely cut yourself out of the equation
Right.
because that
Right.
It's kind of
that's self-deprecating at that point.
Yeah.
Sure. If I am so unselfish that I don't take care of myself, I'm not good to anyone, including myself.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
There is a
not doing
healthy
any good for anybody.
selfishness.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mom, final words of wisdom from you. What notes do you have that you want to Mama Dunn told us?
I found a really good website that I read about this on that you might want to put in the showy notes.
I'll put them in the showy
Give that
notes.
to you later. It's believeinmind.com. And if you want to put that in there, it's great because it really talked a lot about how important it is for us to, as parents, to bring our kids up in a world that has some empathy, and that it doesn't just come, that doesn't come naturally. You know? And this is a really, it's not it doesn't look like it's Christian based or, totally science based. It just looks really, really logical and really good. And I think your readers would like, or your listeners would like it.
Our listeners, Mom. They're yours too.
Our listeners. Go to believeinmind.com.
All right. The one final word from me, I guess, would be I'm grateful to have been raised by somebody that you, Mom, I'm talking about you, that
In case you're wondering.
that was able to kind of showcase that it's okay to feel good about helping other people. And it wasn't like we talked about this in one of our past episodes where, it's okay to put yourself out there and to offer your help and to be kind and to do those things and to show that. And you showed us, I believe, that doing those kind things, even in the small way, they don't only make us feel pretty good, like, hey, I kind of did a nice thing and that felt good. There was a chemical reaction in my brain that just made me feel good. But it also brightened their day. And maybe that, you talk about the cheesiness of, pass on the kindness. Well, there's truth to that. And if you are kind to someone, then they, may pass that on, and even if they don't, that's okay. I think it's a good thing. Lauren, what else do you got? Anything?
No, I don't think so. I think I said everything.
Okay,
that I
signing
need
up. No, sorry.
God.
When it all boils down, we are still siblings,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen.
That is true.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of My Mama Done Told Me. Tell us what you think. Do you think that people by nature are selfish? Or is it something else? Is it a combination? Do you agree with what we said? Do you think that we're full of junk? And if you do, we'd love to hear from you.
Manure.
Manure. Are we full of Huey manure? Our email is mymamadonetoldmepodcast@gmail.com. It's a mouthful.
My mama done told me podcast@gmail.com.
mymamadonetoldmepodcast@gmail.com. Ra-da-da-da-da-da-da. You can also find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, on TikTok, and I think those are all of them.
The Sochmeads.
The Sochmeads will be in the showy notes. And okay, that's all for this episode. We hope you keep your minds open and be kind to each other because it feels good. And do all that.
It's just good.
It's good.
Good.
Sayonara, suckers.
See you later.
Mom, you
Bye,
gotta
be
give a
nice.
sign out. Be nice.
Be nice.
Be kind to your sister.
No bickering.
No more
No
bickering.
bickering.
Don't make me turn this
But I
on.
have to model that first. I'd have to model the no bickering.
Bye, everybody.
Be.
From the did it.